Kahala, Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushai, Bashem, Rukak, double honors to my teachers, the apostles and elders of the great millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect, who are the house of David, reborn again in this generation. And shalom to the 130 Yasharallah, who today are known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Indians, who before losing their true heritage were known as the Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about the nation of Edom and how its mother, which is known as England, will be ashamed of her. Let's go and read this. This is Daniel 7:20. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes, and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. This right here, where it talks about that look was more stout, it tells you that the word stout here refers to great. And the word there is Rob.
Strong's H, 7229. Proud.
When you go to the word, it tells you great, great in power, captain, chief. So, in this image, Daniel is talking about the Roman Empire reborn again at the end of the world, and that beast, when it was the 4th beast, it's now grown into a 7-headed dragon with 10 horns, right? And we know that those horns represent, or the beast and the horn represent NATO, which is the beast, and America, which is the horn that rides upon her. Now, recently, or actually today, this happened, right? We actually had the Prime Minister of England actually cancel a visit to America. Now, this is rarely happened. It's been happening a lot more now, and that's because you're starting to see around the world separating from the nation of Babylon, which is what America is known in the Bible. Now, in this case, for you history majors, America was spawned from the English Empire, right? It was one of its colonies, and then eventually America broke off and went its own way, right? And that's also a prophecy too, it's written about. But the part I want to read about is the part about Babylon the Great's mother being ashamed. And that's what's happening, man. Because when you look at England, their idea of the American lifestyle is that it's beneath them, man. But they can't do anything about it because they know that America is a great power, right? And that's what America is. America spends over 20 times more on its military than with all the rest of the world combined. It's a very powerful and great nation. This is why the Israelites, who are the Negroes, Latinos, Native Indians, need the Lord to come back and take this wicked power out of rulership, man. You know, and that's the only way that these Edomites are going to go down, because and the thing is they don't believe in the Most High, so that's why they don't believe they're going to go down, because there's nobody else on the stage right now on earth that can take these people down. Even with the combined forces of Russia and Iran and China, America still has the upper hand, technologically, and also too, just with its vast firepower and with its experience, right? These other countries, Russia is probably the most experienced of them in war. Iran hasn't gone to war in decades, and I'm talking about real war, right? Real modern war. The same thing with China. Not really since World War II. So, but let's go and read this article. It says, Boris Johnson has canceled his planned trip to the White House after Trump slammed the phone down on him in a moment of apoplectic fury. Basically, he was furious, right? So they were basically arguing, man. They were screaming back and forth, And Trump hung up on him, right? Gave him the dial tone, right? And Boris Johnson, he doesn't feel he needs to take it, and he cancels the meeting. Here's the highlights of this article. It says, the UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has canceled a planned trip to meet with President Donald Trump next month after a furious row between the two men. Johnson had been due to visit Washington shortly after his election victory in December. The visit has been repeatedly delayed, however, amid a series of disagreements between the two leaders. Trump slammed the phone down on Johnson last month after the Prime Minister defied him on an issue of Hawaii involvement in the UK. And you see, and this ultimately, when you get into that Huawei 5G system, ultimately you got to understand that 5G system is a spying mechanism. And that spying system that is in China right now, that has all the citizens on lockdown, being observed, all that stuff, keeping track of them. That's Moab's surveillance system, man. That's why just recently, I think it was like last week, the U.S. military, I think, found a back door into all Huawei's electronics that the Chinese government can use to gain access to the devices, right? So that's why ultimately Trump didn't want England to adopt the Huawei 5G system, because they're tied into Britain, and Trump got pissed off because like they said, is that that's going to leave America vulnerable to Huawei, right, or to China. And why has England gone with China? It's because England is planning to betray America, right? And this is gonna be the prophecy that's gonna be fulfilled. It's Revelations 17-16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Right? So they're gonna make her. Now the her is talking about Babel, the whore that sits upon that beast, right? And the 10 horns, or the beast, is NATO. It's England and all the other EU nations that are part of NATO, right? They're going to ultimately make America desolate. They're going to basically consume her. That's what it means by it says eat her flesh. And when it says burn her with fire, that's talking about the nuclear missiles, man. The nuclear missiles that these other nations are going to shoot on America. Because you see, and this is spiritual too, because just like Julius Caesar, who was the consular of Rome, he eventually wanted to be the king of Rome, the dictator for life, right? What happened to him? He was murdered in the Senate house because he was getting too powerful. The other senators, the other Edomites, knew that they couldn't do anything about it. There's a beautiful show on HBO called Rome. They cover this beautifully, man. But the other senators decided that it was safer for them to simply stand up and just take Caesar out, and they were going to do it for the good of Rome, right? For the good of the entire nation. And that's what's going to ultimately happen. You're going to have these other Edomites, the Russian, the English people. They're going to ultimately shoot on America and its ally, and more likely Israel, right? And because they're going to betray their own self. This is what the scripture is saying about that. The Lord is going to put the Egyptian against the Egyptian, because today the modern day Egyptian spiritually would be considered the modern Caucasians, or so-called Caucasians, who are really known as the Edomites, right? Now, let's go and read the scripture just to back up what I've said, right? To show you what's going to happen in Babylon, right? Now, I'm going to read this whole thing, or a good part of this. This is Jeremiah 50:9. For lo, I will raise the cause to come up against Babylon, which is America, an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. Right. So these European nations are going to get together. They're going to come together as a team against Babylon the Great. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as a mighty expert man, right? These arrows are referring to the nuclear missiles that are going to be shot on America. None shall return in vain. And Chaldea, which is ultimately like saying like the upper crust of these Caucasians, the wizards, the Freemasons, the people who would be considered witches, right? It's addressing them directly because the Chaldeans were the basically the witches of the Assyrian Empire, right? Or Babylonian Empire, right? It's the same thing. And Chaldea shall be a spoil. All that spoil her shall be satisfied, saith Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, because ye were glad, because ye rejoiced, O ye destroyers of mine heritage. And the Lord's heritage, what is that? That is the Negroes, Latinos, Native Indians, or who was originally known as the Israelites. The name Israel goes back to the word Yasharallah in the Paleo Hebrew, which is the real Hebrew, and that means Prince of Power, right? We're the Prince of the Powers. We are the heritage. We're the children of the Lord, right? Because that bear you, she that bear you, which is England, right? Talking about Babylon, or Babylon, England. She that bear you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nation shall be a wilderness and a dry land and a desert. So ultimately, America is going to be destroyed. It's going to be like a big forbidden desert zone, you know? Just like it tells here, let's continue. Because of the wrath of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, it shall not be inhabited, but it shall be wholly desolate. Every one that goeth by Babylon shall be astonished and hiss at her, at all her plagues. Put yourselves in array against Babylon round about. All ye that bend the bow, and that's talking about all the nuclear capable nations around the world, India, Pakistan, China, North Korea, Britain, Russia, Iran, China, all these countries, man. Shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she hath sinned against Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Shout against her round about. She hath given her hand. Her foundations are fallen, right? And that's because when you look at America's foundation, right? America is a crumbling empire, man. It's a nation of rust with a fresh paint of coat on, a fresh coat of paint on it. Her walls are thrown down, for it is the vengeance of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Take vengeance upon her as she hath done, do unto her. So there you go, man. So just wanted to bring that up, wanted to show that America, Babylon the Great, the tides are starting to turn on her, just like it was prophesied in the book of Daniel, and the book of Revelation. These prophecies are now coming to pass, people. These churches, don't believe them, man. Don't believe they are lying to you and tell you that the book of Revelations can't be read, man. We are living in those end times. If you manage to watch this video, you need to wake up, people, because we are in these end moments. So with all that, I want to go and give all praise to Yahweh, B'Shem Yahushai, B'Shem Ruach B'Dash, double honors to my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, peace and mercy to the elect. Shalom.